When you're responsible for protecting cloud workloads, firewalls aren't just about blocking traffic. They're about visibility, compliance, and threat detection. That's why Azure Firewall logs are so important. In this lecture, you will learn how to use Azure Firewall logs to monitor traffic, identify risks, respond to threats, and generate audit-ready records of everything passing through your firewall. We discussed earlier that Azure Firewall is a cloud-native stateful firewall service that protects your Azure Virtual Network resources. It inspects both inbound and outbound traffic and supports filtering rules for Layer 3, which is network layer, Layer 4, which is transport layer, and Layer 7, which is for application FQDNs and protocols. But the real value comes when you turn on logging and diagnostics, which gives you a full record of what the firewall is doing, what it allowed, what it denied, and what threats it detected. To get to the Azure Firewall logs, you can navigate to the Azure Firewall by typing firewalls in the Azure search bar as shown. This page shows a list of all Azure Firewall instances deployed in your selected subscriptions and resource groups. Click on the Azure Firewall for which you want to enable or monitor logs. You are now on the Azure Firewall resource blade for Azure Firewall instance, and let's focus on the monitoring section, specifically the option called Diagnostic Settings in the left-hand panel. When you click on Diagnostic Settings, you're stepping into the control center for how Azure Firewall logs and metrics are captured and sent. Without configuring this, your firewall won't send traffic logs, threat logs, or performance metrics anywhere, which means you lose visibility. So this is where you turn on logging and route it to your preferred monitoring solution. You're currently on the diagnostic settings page of your Azure Firewall instance. This is where you configure log collection and export, which is crucial for visibility, auditing, and threat detection in your cloud environment. This page allows you to define where Azure Firewall should send its diagnostic logs. I've already created a setting named My FW Logs that sends data to the log analytics workspace called My Log. This means Firewall is now sending rich logging data to a central workspace where I can run KQL queries, build dashboards, create alerts, and integrate with Microsoft Sentinel. Let me click on the edit setting and see the different logs and destination settings. You're looking at the diagnostic setting configuration page. This page allows you to define what types of logs are collected and where they are sent. This is where you configure diagnostic logging for your firewall, enabling Azure to stream logs and metrics to monitoring destinations like log analytics, storage accounts, or external SIEMs. Logging is critical for visibility, auditing, and security operations. I've checked the box for all logs, which automatically includes network rule logs, application rule logs, NAT rule logs, threat intelligence alerts, DNS logs, and IDPS signatures for premium SKU. This ensures that I am collecting all possible firewall log data for monitoring. You can also see that logs can be sent to the different destination. In this case, logs are being sent to Log Analytics workspace. But depending on your compliance and monitoring requirement, you can send to the different destinations. Let's close this window and go back to the Azure Firewall resource page. To begin monitoring your Azure Firewall using custom query language KQL, navigate to your Azure Firewall resource and under the monitoring section in the left-hand menu, click on Logs. This will bring you to the Logs blade, where you will find a library of pre-built KQL queries specifically designed for firewall monitoring. These are organized under categories like application rules, network rules, threat intelligence, DNS proxy logs, and more. Important prerequisite. Before these queries can return data, you must first configure diagnostic settings for your firewall. This setup sends the firewall logs to a log analytics workspace where they can be queried and analyzed. Without this, your KQL queries will return empty results. Why this matters? Each built-in query helps you investigate different aspects of your firewall's behavior. See which traffic is allowed or blocked. Understand which rules are being hit. Detect threats using Microsoft Threat Intelligence. Troubleshoot DNS or NAT related traffic flows. Make it a habit to review these queries regularly. They are a powerful tool to proactively manage your firewall and detect early signs of trouble in your network environment. When you land on the Workbooks Gallery page for your Azure Firewall resource, this is where you unlock the power of visual insights. You're not just looking at raw logs anymore. You're stepping into a dashboard-driven world where you can monitor, analyze, and make informed decisions based on what your firewall is doing. Right away, you'll see options like creating an empty workbook or launching a preview dashboard if you want to start from scratch. But more importantly, you will notice ready-made templates under Network Insights Azure Firewalls. If you open the Azure Firewalls structured workbook, you'll get a visual breakdown of rule hits, threat intelligence detections, and traffic patterns, all without writing a single query. This is your go-to tool when you want to quickly understand what's happening across your network. You also have Activity Logs Insights available, which focuses more on tracking changes to your firewall's configuration, things like updates, deletions, or role assignments. These workbooks are incredibly useful when you want to build operational dashboards, audit access and usage, or troubleshoot issues with clarity. Whether you're a security analyst or a cloud architect, this is where your firewall data becomes truly actionable. Now that you understand Azure Firewall logs, your next step is to enable diagnostics, send the logs to Log Analytics, and write a few queries to explore your environment. In the next lecture, we'll explore Microsoft Sentinel and how it turns your logs into alerts, insights, and automated responses.